Hey, thanks so much for joining us for another family roundtable. So glad that you are here. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're also going to get to talk about some future things and just share some details with you. And so stay tuned to the whole thing, and we'll get to have some fun together and, of course, have some more winners for some games. And so I don't know about you. It's kind of been a blur in a way these past few weeks as we kind of dealt with everything that's been going on and all the craziness. And, of course, we've all kind of felt it in different ways as we're in different spheres and different places in life. And so for some of you, maybe your job has changed in some way or another, or kids, you're having to deal with school in a completely different way, or maybe some of us, this hasn't affected us much at all. But however it's affected you, hopefully we can come out of this learning something and maybe even growing in our walk with Christ and being more reliant on Him. And so I know for me, it's been a very reflective time to kind of look back on things and really, in some ways, it's been good because this has kind of forced us to maybe make some changes in our life that needed to change, but that we weren't really willing to do, or maybe that just things that we just felt were sacred cows that we realized maybe weren't as sacred as we once thought. And so it's just been really good, whether it's from a personal standpoint or it's from a job standpoint of being able to just think through those things. And I think too that I've realized, and maybe you have too, just things that are important in life versus things that aren't. It wasn't long ago that our lives, we would define as probably super full of stuff and busy, and we were constantly running places and going places and felt like we were actually never really even home, to actually being told that we had to stay home. And that can change things. And so for me, it's been just great, again, to reflect on what is important in my life and what isn't, and what I really need to be spending my effort and time on, and really focusing on that. So I hope that you come out of this with some kind of to help you grow, and so yeah. Like I said, we're going to have some fun tonight and play some games, and so we're going to kick off our time tonight playing a game, and so Brett's going to tell you more about that and what that is going to be.
Yeah, so we're playing a game. It's called, on the screen, it's going to say Possibilities 2. There's a Possibilities 1. I don't know where it is. These games that we play, like, we're not smart enough to come up with them. We get them from places, and so some Possibilities 1 some years ago. We're playing 2. So here's how it works. It's going to be like a Beat the Pastor game, but you're not picking a pastor. I'm going to pick the pastor. I'm going to ask these guys they are out there questions. And there are going to be multiple choices of what they choose. You'll see them on the screen in a second. And then what you're doing at home, if you're a kid, you're going to pick the answer that you think the pastor answered. And if you got correct, you give yourself a point. That's how it works. So every time you guess correctly, you're good to go. So, okay, we're ready? So here they go. Michael, you ready? You look.
Well, you don't know this because you don't bring your phone up to the stage and watch yourself like a narcissist like I am. We've not had video for a little bit, and so when you said you're going to see it on screen, I laughed. I was like, maybe.
So it's just audio?
And so, no, we are back.
We're good now.
We are back
Good.
now. No, our awesome tech team back there got it figured out just in time.
Perfect.
So that's what I was laughing at
you'll
watching.
see 'em. I'll read them if it's audio. So, okay,
Yeah,
here it is. So I'm gonna pick Michael. First one, again, I'm not calling you the queen, but it says you're the queen, and it's time to pass a new law. So you can be the king. It's time to pass a new law. Don't answer right away because we got to let kids decide. What law are you passing? A, eyebrows are illegal, so people have to shave them off. B, if you make eye contact with someone, you must immediately give them a hug. C, ketchup must be on everything you eat. Or D, at age 10, you pick a color, and from then on, all your clothes are that color. Okay, so kids at home, you're going to guess what you think Michael is going to answer. We're going to speed it up because it's not that hard. You pick A, B, C, or D. And then, Michael, what are you picking and why?
Yeah, I'm going with A.
Eyebrows are illegal?
Eyebrows are illegal.
For real?
Yeah, for real. For real. I think it's one of the most, you can enforce it pretty easily. And there's no taking somebody to jail. You shave them right then if they're not doing it. The other thing is, like, as a 10-year-old, I probably would have picked orange. I don't want to wear orange for the rest of my life.
Burnt orange.
So it wouldn't have been burnt orange at
man,
that age.
nice.
So, yeah, eyebrows.
All right,
are
so
illegal.
kids, if you picked A, give yourself a point. At the end, we'll tell you how to score. All right, we're going to come around the circle to LJ. LJ, cars are illegal now. So what kind of transportation will people use instead? Moose-drawn chariots, giant hamster balls you get in and run, rocket Heelys, or stilts with rollerblades attached to the bottom. Okay, kids pick A, B, C, or D. LJ, what are you choosing now that you're king?
This is difficult. One, I got to be honest here. I don't know how to skate. One of my favorite jobs that I've had, I was a DJ at a skating rink. It was an incredible job. But I'm going to go with hamster balls here. I think that would be incredible.
Hamster balls everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like people be coming down the aisles at church in hamster balls.
Well, and also right now, when we talk about distancing, it would be no worry.
That is true. The rollerblades attached on the stilts, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
tough.
that's awful.
That's bad.
All right, Kendall. When it rains, instead of water, this falls from the sky.
Okay.
A, tiny edible jelly slugs. Edible. B, lollipops. C, cash money. But, I mean, it says here, immediately devaluing our currency and destroying the economy. And then they said, who am I kidding? It's already destroyed. And then D, when it rains, it's just a single large duck that rampages the town.
Oh,
So what happens when it rains from this point forward? Kids, what is he going to say? Kendall, what do you say?
I'm going to have to go with the big duck. I mean, that just makes it exciting. I mean, I love lollipops, but
You get tired of them?
Yeah, you get tired of it, but a big duck that falls every time, it's like, that's like a video game. It's awesome.
And it rampages the town, man. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Hey.
So it was D. Move on to Michael. Back to Michael. Pick an exotic mythical creature as a pet. So a feral cyclops pig, a one-eyed feral pig,
Okay.
a tiny winged hedgehog,
Okay.
a mare bear, that's like half mermaid, half bear,
Yeah, yeah.
or a uniwhale. And it says on here, not the same thing as a narwhal, don't argue. It's a uniwhale.
Yeah. And it's a pet?
Is this a pet?
I'm going to go uniwhale.
A uniwhale?
Yeah.
How come?
Yeah, so the mare bear, the feral pig, and the hedgehog, I would be afraid of getting hurt. And so,
But you're not afraid of a whale with a horn.
no, I mean, like, if it was a narwhal, I'd be a little bit afraid of it. But it was pretty clear it's not the same thing.
It is not. Fair
So-
enough.
I assume it's docile.
All right, LJ, choose a superpower.
Here we go. Yes.
Invisibility, but you can't see anything. B, you can read minds, but it's all in French. C, you can fly, but only upside down. Or D, your fingertips shoot spaghetti. All right,
Oh,
kids,
man.
pick what LJ is going to
This is my
pick.
favorite question so far.
What superpower are you choosing?
We've had some family discussions regarding fun superpowers.
I would bet none of these four were options. though.
No, shooting spaghetti out of your fingers definitely was an option.
Oh.
Levi would be proud right now. I'm going to go with flying, even if it's upside down.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to fly?
Yeah.
All right. You could have learned, you'd have to learn French. That would have then the superpower would have been helpful, but I mean, who's going to learn French? All right, Kendall. Choose a place to live.
Okay.
A floating castle, but it's over Detroit. Or B, an underground cave with a bat butler, if you will, named Cecil. A house made of candy, but kids are always stealing your walls and stuff. Or a yacht manned by tiny squirrel sailors.
Oh. Definitely the yacht with,
Taking
with
the
the
yacht?
tiny squirrels, because that's just awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'd-
that's really
I'd go with that.
I like the floating castle over Detroit.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, back to you.
All right.
Okay, it's time to update the dollar bill. What's on the front? Instead of George Washington, is it a raccoon with a cape? Buffalo flexing its biceps? George Washington, but it's a cat, like Cat George Washington, or a pickle wearing sunglasses? What's on the dollar bill when you're head of the Treasury?
This is actually a really, really easy question for me. And so I'm going to give kids just a minute. Okay, they've got it now. Buffalo flexing.
Why was it so easy?
Because I went to Haltom High School, the home of the Buffaloes. And so a
Okay.
little bit of homage
Hey,
to
there you go.
hometown.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, LJ, it's time for a new way to greet people.
Yes.
You take turns yelling hello into the other person's mouth. This is post-corona. Okay.
But still.
Tickle the other person's chin and whisper, bugaboo. Touch eyeballs together. or smile and kick each other's shins. None of those are good options.
Yeah, so touch is not my love language, and so we've got some difficulty here. Um, and I don't want anybody yelling into my mouth. That's very strange. I'm going to go with kicking shins.
Smile and kick someone's shins.
I mean, I'll wear shin guards just to be ready.
That's fair.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's,
That's
way
a good
outside
call.
the box. Think
That's
outside the
a
box.
good
right
call.
here. All right, Kendall, pick an alternate reality. You're stuck outside for months avoiding a pandemic.
Wow. That's
Okay. Yeah.
pretty real.
Everything's underwater and we all have gills. C, everyone is talking kitchen appliances. Like that's what we are. We're talking kitchen appliances. Water is now mustard. What alternate reality would you want to live in?
I love the outdoors. So definitely the outdoors away from a pandemic. I mean,
All right.
that's, yeah.
All right, so A. All right, a couple more. Michael, what is a rite of passage all teenagers must do before becoming an adult?
Yeah.
A, they have to find and wrestle a badger. B, they have to survive gladiator-style death match, but they're trying to avoid monster trucks.
Oh, man.
C, they have to write a 30-page essay on the importance of barbecue to the American culture. Or D, they have to live alone in the wilderness for a month with nothing but a spoon and a paperclip.
Okay. Yeah.
Got
I've
it?
got, yeah.
You got the rite of passage?
Yeah, the rite of passage is absolutely writing. They will be writing a 30-page paper. But the importance of barbecue to American culture.
That's the safest one, too.
Well, it is, and what it does is it makes them actually decide something, because I would assume it's a position paper on what style of barbecue is actually American.
I mean, according to this, you're the queen, so you get to make it
That's
however you want.
I'm the queen. I'm the queen.
All right, LJ, pick a conspiracy theory that's actually true.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All of them.
Birds are actually CIA robot drones spying on us. North Dakota doesn't actually exist. C, uniwhales are really narwhals. Or D, Sasquatches aren't real. Which conspiracy theory are you picking?
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Which one do you say is
That's a
actually
great
true?
question. So I'm thinking through here. Some of these I don't care as much about. I'm convinced that we're being spied on all the time anyway. So let's go with D.
D?
Absolutely.
The conspiracy is that Sasquatches aren't real.
Yeah.
Golly. You know, some people actually think there's no such thing as Bigfoot. That's crazy.
It is
Those
crazy.
people think we landed on the moon.
Crazy.
All right, Kendall, it's your last one.
All right,
your
here
last
we go.
one. You're going to be in a fight.
Ooh, okay.
But you get to choose someone to fight with you.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you're fighting alongside either 100 kindergartners armed with sporks.
Vicious.
I don't know what this is, but it says B's a kung fu hot dog.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that is, but
Ouch.
it's a hot dog that does kung fu.
I mean, okay.
A C, a brontosaurus eating pizza. Or D, the feral cyclops unipig.
Ooh, I think that's pretty easy. I think 100 kindergartners is pretty fierce. So yeah, that's I'm going with that.
All right. All right, so here's what happens now. Kids, you got a point every time you answered correctly. So here's what we need you to do. You can, in the remind thread, either text us your name and the number you got right, or you can email it to me at blevi@fbg.church. It's blevi@fbg.church. Email how many you had, or you put it in the remind thread, and then whoever had the most, we're going to get a prize for. If there's a tie, we'll do a drawing. So we're going to play a couple more games later tonight, but right now I want to introduce two people. Allie and Heath Holt are going to come up, and LJ is going to talk to them a little bit about family discipleship. So you guys come on up and join us.
Well, that game was exciting and a lot of fun. Love asking random questions, but I have some specific questions for you guys. As you've worked on your family crafted discipleship plan over the last several months or even year, and just thinking through what's worked for you guys and what's been beneficial from the plan for you. But before that, can you tell us your kids, their names, their ages?
Yeah, we have a 7-year-old, Rosie, and a 4-year-old, Hudson. Both really involved here and are really missing it. So
Yeah, we missed them. So Rosie's in second grade, right?
she'll be in 2nd grade. She's in 1st.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hudson is
He'll be in pre-K again next year.
cool.
So
So you're right in the thick of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. So what are you most excited about when it comes to the Family Crafted Discipleship Plan?
So I think when we were talking about this, a big thing for us was just how it kind of curved our thought process to like being more intentional. It just brought us to have more intentionality around the things that we do with our kids. So that's really been fun to see it kind of like flow and how God's using it to bring thought to our head of like, oh, this can be something we can add, or hey, this is an opportunity, even though it's not really even connected with maybe church or what we would consider like a Christian thing. We can put this in and drive it in a certain direction. So I think for us it was just kind of a mind shift of like, oh, well, now that and it also, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but it
You're
really
good.
got us like together to and thinking of things in more of a team aspect. And once now it took us a while to get on board. He'll talk about that. But once we were there,
Yeah.
we have had a much more like streamlined focus because we're both, thinking of the same things at the same time. So it's just it's fun to see how it's evolved and
Yeah, yeah.
how it really was just like, let's start it. And then it just kind of took off on its own and
Yeah,
God
yeah.
really used it. So
That's awesome. What I love about having you guys up is as far as Life Stage goes, with a lot of our families, you're right in there. I'm right in there with you too. And so it can be fun and it can be a challenge. But I think people can connect with that. You guys are doing it. You've made a decision, you've put it into practice, and it's happening, and you're having some success with it. But can you tell us, when we think through rhythms and seasons, what are some things that you were already doing that you added to that plan?
So, when we looked at it, we were already praying with the kids and trying to read either. We have this book called Indescribable, which has short stories kind of before bed and praying with the kids, like I said, and then doing things at the church like trunk or treat or Easter choir or
Merry Christmas with Love.
Merry
we were
Christmas
already
with
doing.
Love. Like we were participating in those already, yeah. And so
So when you say participate, some of those things are kind of come to and experience, some of those things are get involved in.
yeah,
Serve.
I would say prior to the plan, we weren't. We
coming
were
to.
just at participating
Okay.
and then the plan, kind of got us headed down a better trajectory, like a better path of being intentional with those things.
Okay, right on. And so now those things are on your plan.
Yes.
You see them, you're able to be more intentional with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like especially like the trunk or treat thing was a good example. That kind of happened right when we were developing ours. And I think also with the ages of our kids, like Hudson's 4, so we're just kind of at that
Yep.
precipice of like, oh, you can help now instead of like being just someone there that we're also trying to wrangle. So I think, things had to kind of, mesh together, right? But that was one of the first times where we were like, hey guys, this is a time this isn't for us. This is for us to be able to help others, and people who don't come to church or maybe don't, know us as a church get to come and we get to serve them. So we're not going to do the candy. We're not going to, we'll go have fun after everybody else does. And that was a little hard at first, but they really enjoyed
We
serving.
did do a pony ride.
We
so
did
we
do a
came
pony
in
ride.
and did
Yeah.
a pony
Right
ride,
on.
but
And the photo booth. But
Yeah.
I think
There we
that
go.
was it.
they were pretty good about serving in that. So they enjoyed that.
Cool. So what are some new things that you've added since you've started working through the plan?
So one of the big things that we added, we were in Kevin and Lindley's parenting class.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
so
great class, by the way.
yeah, it was a great class. And so one of the things that we've added to our plan that we've been really good about doing is talking about Christ inside of discipline.
Okay.
Like acutely with any sort of discipline that we do, and taking that moment to really have that extra time with the kids to explain to them why we're here, what we're doing, like why this means so much to us, how much we love them, how much God loves them, how much God loves us, and we want to love you through this discipline.
Some correction.
Yes,
Love
and,
it.
and so that's one of the big things that we've kind of added on there. What else?
Well, I think a lot of it was just consistency in things that we were
Okay.
already doing. So like praying we were doing, but consistently doing with them during certain times of the day, trying to pray for meals, getting them to pray for meals is interesting. Yeah, Hudson's
That's
always
awesome.
for it, but it's like, thanks God for the ketchup, like things like that, which is fun though.
I'm thankful for ketchup.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You
we
know,
added one of the big things that was impactful to me is asking the kids when we do pray. Like oftentimes they pray like really funny, great prayers, and so one of the things that was big for me is I started asking the kids to pray for me in the areas that I was struggling, and
Oh, that's incredible, man.
like admitting like somewhere that I'm struggling to my 7-year-old and right before bed and say, hey, daddy's having a hard time with this. Can you pray for me? And that was pretty impactful and changing to me.
and she was more prone to pray for him
Right.
than for her. Like, she's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I will.
yeah.
That's cool.
And
That's
so
really cool.
that's something we put on our plan that
Yeah.
we didn't have and was, I would say, has had the biggest impact for me because she'll stop me in the middle of the day and be like, hey, is that,
Yeah.
not really,
She's
but
checking up
we're
on you.
working on it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a great point. So, sounds like you guys have taken some steps of intentionality with what you're doing, adding some things. What are some other things that you're currently doing? Maybe like bedtime stuff.
You want to talk about John?
Yeah, so when I mentioned the Indescribable book, that we read that for a while, and they're just short kind of stories that the kids were okay with. Rosie was all right with them. And then we started bringing Rosie to service, and every time Kevin would preach a scripture and say, hey, turn in your Bibles to here, we started with the Pew Bibles, and she would want to know where it was. She really enjoyed looking up the scripture, and so we got her a Bible to do that, and what we changed over from Indescribable, so she learned John 3:16 with you all over on Wednesday night youth, and then so we started reading the book of John, like a chapter every night, and she loves turning her Bible to the page, and then we read through it, and she's really excited about chapter 3.
Because she knows what's
Yeah.
coming.
She's
And
ready.
so-
Incredible.
Yeah, that was something that we kind of
Yeah.
switched over to.
And it's
that's
cool to see
worked well.
Hudson tries to sit through it, and then
Oh, yeah.
usually he's like, "Mom, can we go read in my room? 'Cause it's boring."
So boring. Yeah.
But
And
he
that's
tried.
okay.
He wants to be with sister, so like he tries, which is still good. He's still hearing it. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just fun to see their brains work when we are reading and what
Yeah.
they're getting out of it and stuff. So that was a big one.
Cool. I know that implementing new things can be difficult. So, what types of bumps have you hit? Because I'm sure you have along the way, especially early on.
Yeah, the church did a really good job. Y'all did really good about consistently reminding us about this family discipleship plan for
Okay.
a long time. We were joking on the car on the way here. We probably took the form, we probably took 20 of your
like
forms.
10 at least. Yeah.
And we would take them with the plan of doing them, and then we wouldn't. And the thing that actually helped us, one of the bumps, the biggest bump for us was just getting started. And the thing that helped us the most is Brett actually reached out to Allie and just kind of out of the blue and was like, hey, can we watch your kids, bring them over to our house so you and Allie can go on a date night? And we were like, okay, sweet. Like,
Sure.
we're going to date night. So we dropped our kids off, and then at the dinner, we were at dinner, and we were talking about, well, man, like if the church wants us to hang out that much, we should really
Probably
do
do
this.
this.
Like,
Yeah.
we should put some effort into this. And we sat down, and that's when we first wrote it out. And from then, we've added to it. And no, I mean, we probably don't revisit it as much as we should,
Yeah.
and kind of see where we're at and kind of brief how it's going. But it's always there, right? And we've always kind of, like Allie said at first, we've kind of merged together in a plan, and we have a trajectory that we're trying to go down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So a few more questions here. I'm going to ask two questions in one. So can you think of maybe a moment that's happened since you've put this plan together within your family that you just really enjoy and cherish? And then second question, what would you say to a family who hasn't gotten started yet?
I'll take the second one. You answer the first one.
What was the first one? Tell me again.
Is there like a moment or a memory that's happened since getting started that like you're just thankful for and appreciative of?
mean, I would say asking Rosie to pray with me for
Yeah.
my struggles was probably a pretty pivotal, pivotal moment as a father and a daughter, as well as a dad being incredibly vulnerable with their kid. And I think she understood that, and that was a pretty like monumental thing. And then trunk or treat was probably as far as doing a discipleship thing, I think they got that and they enjoyed. We went and bought an awning at Academy and filled up buckets of water. It was hot that day, and so they bought into all of that. And so it was pretty cool to watch them want to kind of serve. And
I think too, it's cool to see them your kids really will follow you if you jump head first. You know, like they're gonna go where you go, and if you're in it and completely engaged, they want to be where you are. And so I think once we were, the light bulb was turned on, we're like, okay, let's do this and make this as intentional as possible. It really, God just took that. Like we just, and
That's so
what's
good.
been really cool is seeing now, like, things will come to our head, like, oh, that's something we could do. Even now in this time, like thinking about, okay, well, our summer, season is
pretty
crushed.
much everything
So-
on our plan, like
all the camps we were
Yeah,
gonna
it
do.
changed a little bit.
yeah.
All that.
Yeah,
So
we'll
now
talk
we're
through that.
thinking, we've felt very favored in this season, and so we're thinking, how can our family assist someone else,
Yeah.
and serve, in a distant way. So yeah, I kind of went on a tangent, but as far as
No
the
worries.
second question, I think what I would say is just to sit down with your spouse and make a time, at least just to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's changed. Our thing has like scribble all over it. I mean, it's not pretty, I want to make it prettier, but it'll get there someday, But I think it's less about the rigidity of like, we're going to do this and this and this, and more about just having a mindset of let's think about things intentionally and purposefully and plan them. Because I think that's what's hardest about being in the trenches with young kids is like,
Yeah.
someday it's just day to day some days.
That's
Like
right.
you're just trying to plow through, and you lose a lot of moments that way.
Yeah.
And so if you can think about just the small things, okay, I'm already doing this, how could I just spruce it up a bit? And if you have your spouse on board with you, it really does pump up the energy quite a bit, if you can get on the same page. So I would just say, pick a day and, just start talking about it.
Cool. And both you guys work full time?
Yes.
We do, yeah.
Right on. And you're able to get it done. Just getting started,
Yeah.
getting rolling.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so we miss your kiddos. We miss seeing you guys here, but thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for the wisdom, the input, and answering some of these questions and helping encourage some of our families getting started. So
Sure.
I'm going to ask these
Thanks.
guys to come back up.
Yeah.
Catch you guys
Thanks.
later. Hey, one of the things I love about what they shared is when we think through rhythms, they looked at what they were already doing, especially, bedtime, and just said, how can we capitalize and be intentional on some of those moments? And they've gotten started, and it's working, so I love that. But I think we got another game coming up, a little Kahoot, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
So grab your phones and go to kahoot.it, kahoot.it, and enter in the game code. And so we're a little bit on a delay, so we're going to let you log in and get your name set and all that kind of stuff. And so the game is called The Year Was 2001, and so we'll ask this group of guys here, what were you doing in 2001?
Well, I already shared with the guys earlier. I was watching Jeff Gordon win his 4th championship. I remember that vividly.
Yeah, and again, how old were you?
Yeah, I was 9.
9
so-
years old. I was 11.
Yeah, okay.
That is not true.
He was a 9-year-old watching Jeff Gordon in 2001. I was an associate youth pastor in Austin. I was like an adult still. And I was actually, that was my last year there because early 2002 is when I moved to Georgetown and came on staff here at FBG. So when we do these questions in a second, it's going to be like right when I got here. It's kind of crazy. How about you guys?
Pretty cool. I was in 8th or 9th grade. Just enjoying life, man, in my little country town. Haskell, not high school. We got to be careful here. Haskell. It was a good time. So,
Yeah, and I was, probably averaging hour or two a day in prayer and Bible study and working my way up to the 12 hours I spend now. So
I was averaging an hour and 2
That's-
being a hoodlum.
No, I was playing Nintendo 64. I mean, that's what I was doing. Let's be real.
Star Fox.
So
How old were you in 2001?
2000.
What grade were you in?
Yeah, 2001. I was 14 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right, the year was 2001. Guys, we could go ahead and start this game. Question number 1. Which of these took place in 2001?
Yeah,
Arnold
I
Arnold
can't read those.
Schwarzenegger elected as governor of California. California. The first season of the TV show Survivor. Apple released the first iPod. Or the biggest blackout in U.S. history happened in the northeastern states.
Here's the best thing. Like, this is our last official roundtable. We might do some more. And they don't know this home. This was the first night we realized we could print off these question and answers instead of
Right.
doing what we do each week. What does
All
that
right.
say?
You got
Like,
an
what?
answer.
Oh, wow, okay. So the correct answer was yellow. That's the one thing I don't.
It's highlighted on your page.
Apple releases
Oh
the
yeah,
iPod.
Apple
highlighted
releases
your
the
page.
iPod. Thank you for that.
I
There
got
you
you
go.
taken
Apple
care of.
releases the iPod. Sorry, you got me covered. All right, next question. Oh man,
Yeah, we won't be able to tell you who's in the lead because we can't see that.
that's
but
okay. That's okay. That person's in the lead. So, what Disney movie was released in 2001? Was it Monsters Inc., The Emperor's New Groove, Finding Nemo, or The Incredibles?
All great questions, or all great movies. Monsters Inc.'s the fave, though.
I just watched The Incredibles the other day. I've been trying to get Emerson to watch the Marvel movies with me.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, do you want to watch Captain America, the first one? We can start it. She's like, no. I said, well, pick a movie. I'll watch anything with you. She's like, I don't like superhero movies, I don't think. So can we watch The Incredibles? It was not, the irony was not lost on me.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
good.
Hey,
we
it's
did.
Monsters.
Well, in fact, it was Monsters Inc.
Somebody's probably going to complain and say, is that like a Pixar? Is that Disney?
See,
Pixar? Do they own it? I
Well,
don't
they
know.
do now,
Okay.
but I don't know if they did then.
Well, that's the answer. That's
So-
what we're going with.
Yeah, but I don't know if they did then.
Good job, whoever's in the lead.
What was the album of the year in 2001? Two Against Nature by Steely Dan, Walk On from U2, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the soundtrack, or Drops of Jupiter by Train.
I don't know the year, so I'm not giving any hints or not. But I was at youth camp.
Yeah.
On the Tuesday that Drops of Jupiter came out, in Stephen F. Austin, and I left youth camp and drove to the Walmart to buy. That was still back when you had to buy a CD, whenever that came out. So
Nice.
that's Youth Minister of the Year right there. Left the kids at
Oh,
camp with the other
Here
sponsors.
we go. Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the soundtrack. Now, I feel like maybe the timer's a little bit shorter.
Yeah,
It
we
is.
did it 30 seconds. They said we were taking way too long.
Oh, okay.
So,
They didn't like to hear us talk.
So
Wow.
I have that album, by the way.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
It's a good one.
It is a great album.
Well, there's somebody winning still. Oh, the Shotwells. Congratulations right now. So which of these movies made the most money in 2001? You have to actually maybe even put them in order. Lord
No,
of the,
it's just the.
it's just the most?
Yeah.
Okay. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Shrek, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or The Fast and the Furious?
I know what your vote is for sure. You don't even care. You're just voting for your
Well,
favorite.
yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, I'm not even trying to get this one right. I'll get it wrong if I
I will
have
say
to
this:
in
if
order
it's
to-
anything other than Lord of the Rings, he's going to leverage his 401k to try to just bump
it
it up
catch up.
over the
Yeah.
top because it's his favorite movie
Yeah.
of all time.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Oh, Harry Potter. Do you know that back in 2001, I was not a supporter of Harry Potter? I was not. I made fun of people that liked it. Shame on me.
And now you're a big fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read them all and have all the audiobooks and watch them. Yeah, for sure.
Never seen a Harry Potter movie.
So,
Really?
I guess the question is, which did not happen in 2001? George W. Bush became president, Apple launches iTunes, Wikipedia goes online, and the World Trade Centers are attacked. What
Y'all
did-
get confused on the questions when they give you the what didn't happen.
Yeah, I think anytime you insert a negative into a question, you should get half credit regardless.
It always throws me off. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
wait,
gonna
what am I trying to figure out here? So, but it's those. So 3 of those things did happen.
That's correct.
One of them didn't.
That's correct.
I mean, one of them is fairly obvious if you've ever
Yeah.
picked up a history book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple launches iTunes. Apple launches iTunes, which I don't know when it was.
Not 2001.
Not 2001. Okay, so it looks like the Shotwells are still in the lead. Good job, guys. Next question. What was the average cost of gas in 2001? 99 cents, $1.46, $1.91, or $2.24?
What is it right now? I've gotten gas one time since this all started.
I think I paid as low as 132 recently.
I've seen
So-
$1.14, $1.24, kind of in that range. I don't,
I went by a church member's house this week, and they had five gas cans filled up that had gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's so cheap right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 99 cents in 2001 because it eludes me, but I remember when it was 99 cents.
$1.46.
All right, so
$1.46. That sounds.
obviously, I was younger
Yeah.
than 2001.
Yeah, I never paid less than $1 for gas.
We got a new person in the lead.
Oh, hey. Is that Jude? Julie, okay. So who won Best New Artist for their album released in 2001? Is it Linkin Park, Alicia Keys, Coldplay, or the Backstreet Boys?
While they're guessing, if you had to buy one of those albums, who would you buy?
Alicia Keys all the way. Then Linkin Park.
Yeah, if I had to, which one would be in the bargain bin?
Right.
Kendall, what would you
goes back
pick?
to prize. Probably Lincoln Park.
I think Backstreet Boys would probably be in the bargain bin at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
My wife would appreciate that. So I'll go Backstreet Boys.
Alicia Keys. is
Alicia
in-
Keys it is.
So much better than NSYNC. Okay. They chose not to sponsor us, by the way. We asked them. Shotwell's back in the lead. Here we go. Who won the Super Bowl in 2001?
Can you just say the Pats? Is that a safe answer?
It's one-
Well,
it's one
it's
of
one
the
of the choices. The Lions, the Patriots, the Giants, or the Ravens?
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, the Pats have won.
Now, when was Quincy Carter drafted?
I don't
Here we go.
remember.
Was he 2001?
I don't remember. You'd think I would remember the greatest quarterback in Cowboys
The greatest
history.
quarterback in
but-
Cowboys history. That's right.
So this
Well-
same year, the Vikings were supposed to do incredible, and they completely let everybody down in the NFC
Well, guys,
Championship.
the answer was the Ravens. The
So it was
Ravens.
not the Patriots. You lost, Kendall.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just saying that was a safe bet. I didn't say it was right.
Shotwell's got bumped out.
Drew's dad's son.
Drew's, that's
confusing.
you know who
Yep.
figured that out.
Yep. Hey, what was the average cost of a movie ticket in 2001? $4.13, $5.66, $6.95, or $7.32?
You know, I recently watched Waco on Netflix, and they referenced going to the movies, and it was, that happened in the 80s, and
What?
sorry, David Koresh, that whole thing.
It's not in the 80s, man.
Referenced the movie. It was on Netflix, all right?
I was in college, and I graduated high school in '92.
So maybe the 80s. No.
I guess it was nice. Whatever it was.
Well,
just ruined your whole story.
to
I
the
just- sorry, I
game.
just ruined
the
your- I
answer.
said your
The
whole
answer was
story.
566.
Sorry, Kendall.
566. Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
just surprised how expensive it's been for years.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Drew's dad's family still in the lead.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, here we go. What movie won Best Picture at the Academy Awards 2001? Was it Gladiator, Chicago, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, or A Beautiful Mind?
Normally, I would have answered this by picking the movie that I had not seen.
Yeah.
Because if it won Best Picture, I probably would not have seen it. But
There's-
I've seen 3 of these 4, so pretty good chance I have seen it.
What's the one you have not seen?
I've not seen Chicago.
Nor
I don't
have
do
I.
musicals.
Nor have I. I have not. Now, yeah, this one, A Beautiful Mind, I really love math, and so A Beautiful Mind was one that
That was a great
really-
movie.
Yeah, that was a good one. That
And not
was.
very many people got it. So let's see if that
Yeah.
changes the leaderboard. It did not.
All right.
Not out of first place, at least. So this is the last question. Is that right?
Well, we'll see what happens here.
Did I give you the wrong sheet of paper?
Well, it's a tiebreaker question.
Oh, it's up there.
It is up there?
Yeah, it's
okay.
up there.
Okay. The tiebreaker question. What were the most popular baby names back in 2001? So we have a girls list and a guys list. And so
Yeah,
okay, Jacob and Grace, David and Abigail, Tyler and Alexis, or Austin and Emily.
they're mixed up on there, though.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I had to kind of adjust. So, even though we did fix this, apparently we didn't fix it well enough in
That's
printing
okay.
it off.
That's okay.
So,
That is okay.
I tell you what, this surprised me because I was thinking through. So these would be like high school seniors, somewhere right
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
And
Well, in fairness, we have 4 of one of these graduating this year. I'm just kidding. No, we don't.
the correct answer,
Jacob and Emily. Jacob and Emily.
Can you think of Jacob and Emily's graduating?
We have in that range.
Several.
Yeah, this is
All right.
pretty good.
Here coming the finals. We might need
Third
some help.
place,
Oh,
the
Shotwell's run
Shotwells.
third.
Okay.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being
Second
bronze
place,
medalist.
Julie.
And then
First place,
Drew's dad's son. Okay, here's the deal. Drew's dad's son. That's not going to give us enough. That may be, I don't know, Drew
mean,
Boyd could be.
Yeah, Drew Boyd, because
If it is, he's one of my
Because-
mentees, so we don't have to give him a prize.
well, yeah, because Drew's dad is Drew's dad.
Right.
Like that's his name.
So whoever's Drew's dad's
So-
son is, if you will
That-
text us, text me, email me, put it in the remind thread, we'll get you your prize this week.
That'd be awesome.
LJ, tell us about what our kids can do.
Yeah, so I'd love for you kiddos to check out the activities that we have with the resource for Wednesdays, for Wednesday night. The same stuff from Sunday that we always have. But, man, Mother's Day is coming up, and just because we're in this pandemic stuff doesn't give you a chance to get out of that. And so we're helping you out a little bit. And there's some things that you can write to your mom, some helps for a letter. There's the top 10 favorite things about your mom that you can write out and give to her on Mother's Day. Or if you're not able to write, you can draw a picture of your mom and tell her that you love her. And you can put that up on the fridge or give it to her. I'd love for you guys to do that on Mother's Day.
That's great. That's awesome. So we're going to kind of transition in and start talking about some details as far as a church, how we're moving forward with all the changes that are coming with the COVID and all of that. And so we're going to kind of try to talk through those details and try to be as clear as we can, but just know that this is still a moving target. And so there's going to be some details and things coming in the future that we just don't know yet. And so, but we're going to try our best to kind of give you what we can. And so we're going to kind of lead off. I think we have some slides that we're going to show you on the screen that you can kind of see if you're a visual person. But we're going to kind of let LJ kick us off here and talk through kind of what kids ministry is going to look like as we move forward as a church.
Yeah, so during this first phase for kids, we're not looking at any planned activities for kids. So that would, of course, mean no life groups, no Wednesday night activities. We wouldn't even have little Bible studies up here at the church. Our life group leaders are doing a good job trying to stay connected with their kiddos. And so we'll keep making an effort through the things we're doing online, the videos that we're putting out, that resource page for life group material that families have a chance to access. We're going to keep pushing that out, hoping that families do it. And then kids can come to the service with their families. There's guidelines that we go by and encourage, but that is allowed for kids to come to the service. So.
Yeah, so for clarification, we're going to walk through 3 phases. We are currently in the state of Texas within phase 1. And, you might see the date up there, May 17th. We are, as we move into corporate worship being back on campus, on May 17th, we will open corporate worship under the phase 1 guidelines. And so while we're in phase 1, worship will operate under phase 1 guidelines, but kids ministry, you'll see the groups and activities online, youth ministry groups and activities online, and any trips, any of the overnight or multi-day endeavors, those, as long as we're in phase 1, we will not be doing those because we don't have the ability to do what we would traditionally do on a trip as long as we're under phase 1 restrictions. Now, one other thing, if you're on Facebook, just give some feedback because this debate has been raging for the past few days amongst our staff. Is canceled 1 L or 2 L's? And so, personally, I've struggled through it. We were planning a London mission trip, and I found out that as I spelled it with 2 L's, that's actually the English, like British, UK spelling, and Grammarly kept correcting me, saying I was doing the wrong thing. And so, if you have a preference of canceled 1, 2, or if you just want to get creative and we can make the change officially to 3 L's, let us know. We'd really appreciate that.
I was a 2L person because we had this debate. And then when you told me that, I mean, for me, in 1776, it was decided.
That's so
1
true.
L. Like,
That's so true.
right? I mean, I don't even know.
That battle's
I have
already been
immediately
fought.
ceased using 2 L's and changed the way I spell it because of my patriotism.
Yeah, so canceled is 1 L, but cancellation will always have 2.
Yeah, so let me get some clarity here too. Just not, I mean, you guys have said this, but just reiterating, our goal as of today is corporate worship May 17th here. It will be a limited room with social distancing practiced, with ushers helping people find the seats, ushers in masks and gloves and sanitation happening, everything that you would expect and hope to have. We obviously can't get everyone in here, and so we will still be doing online services, just like normal, still debuting regular time, and so all of this can change. But this would be the phase one church here. If we have multiple people, we'll have, at this point, working on a sign-up app or web page where we can people can sign in and get a seat reserved. I mean, again, I'm giving some information that's still in the process work. So, I mean, again, it could change last minute. But that's the plan. If we fill up, we have the opportunity to add services or things like that. But we will have live in person, online, phase one. Then when the governor says we're going to phase two, will be the earliest that we would consider going to phase two.
That's right. Yeah. So as we think through these phases, and you may hear some of the terminology of phase one, phase two, phase three from Governor Abbott, we as a church will move into each phase as we can successfully and safely do that.
Yeah.
And so, if there's an announcement that comes out on a Saturday or something like that, which it probably wouldn't, but if there was, hey, we're moving into the next phase tomorrow, that may be true for the state of Texas, but most likely not true for FBG. And so we will announce clearly when we as a congregation are moving into those phases. We want families to understand that as we are looking out to the future, this is what each phase will most likely entail in some form or fashion for both kids and youth ministry.
Yeah, and to reiterate that, I mean, we're in phase one as a state right now. but
Started
as
May 1st,
Yeah, started May 1st. And so, but as FEG, we're not hitting phase one until May 17th.
from a
as we
worship
move
standpoint.
forward, yeah.
Yep.
So,
And I would say this too, before we move into phase two with kids and youth ministry. I just went blank on what I was going to say.
I thought it was profound.
It was going to be profound.
I thought it was.
I had this.
it's somewhere out there in the sanctuary.
It just
worship center.
left my brain, so I guess we can move on to phase two.
Well,
and
yeah,
then
maybe.
it will come back to me in a second. I was ready to, and then it just left.
That's okay. That's okay. Well,
Go
let's
for it.
take a look at phase two here.
Yeah, so do y'all want to speak to kind of both areas, kids and youth? I mean, where do we see changes here? What is the thinking behind this? And as we move to phase two, whenever that will be.
Yeah, so I'll jump in here. We're going to continue online content. We're doing some things that we're working on right now to do something that's a little more fun than what's currently available for our kids. And so we'll see how that plays out. Excited to work on it. Excited to have a team together for that. But when it comes to activities and events, at this point, we're looking at having activities of 50 or less. And so for kids ministry, for preschool and nursery, we're just going to continue to hold off there. All recommendations would say to hold off, especially with child care and thinking about germs that kids can bring in. But for some of our older kids, especially 4th and 5th graders, we're going to try to be creative and have a few things here at the church for kiddos. Help them have some fun, get them back together, see some familiar faces. Now, when it comes to trips like camps, everything for our June stuff has been canceled with 2 L's. Okay. But that's what I know.
Okay.
And so that would be, tell us what those things are that are
So-
officially off the book.
Yeah, so the first 3 of our summer would be Kingdom Kids, which is our camp for preschoolers. And man, I hate that we're not doing that one. Preteen camp, we're looking at some other opportunities for later in the summer. I don't know how viable that is. And then 3rd is WindShape. So those have all been canceled.
Yeah, so phase two within youth ministry, we will begin resuming on-campus small groups. And so what we anticipate is a little bit of a dual model for youth small groups. And so we know that there will be some people who are ready to come back to campus as we transition into phase two, and we know that there are others for a variety of reasons that may not be ready. And so the question we're sorting through from a technology standpoint right now and just relationally is this going to be parallel models, meaning that we'll have on-campus groups and online groups that are distinct but doing the same thing? Or are we going to move together with hybrid groups, which would mean we are online and on campus at the same time? So do we have the technology to pull off somebody participating online with an on-campus group? And so we're still sorting through those technological details to figure out the best way we can do that. In addition to that, we know that if everyone from youth ministry were to show up on campus at the same time for small groups, to maintain a safe distance and our requirements that we think we'll have during phase 2, we probably can't facilitate that in our existing space all at the same time. And so we're probably looking at different hours in which either middle school would meet, high school would meet, with some sanitation in between. And so right now we're working through the possible scenarios, knowing that our end goal is to move into that within phase 2 from a state standpoint. Now, activities and events, our goal within the next couple of weeks is to release our first part of the summer schedule within youth ministry, with phase 2 type events having been programmed for every student 6th through 12th grade. And when we say phase 2 type events, it's groups of less than 50. And so for the Georgetown campus, it's most likely going to be grade level events or either department and gender specific. And so I could see a 7th grade event. I could also see possibly a middle school girls event, because it would enable that less than 50 type group. But there's other caveats that we're already thinking through. In phase 2, we're not going to do buffet-style food. If we do food at an event, we're going to encourage families to pick up their own food and bring it to the event. We're not going to do an ice chest full of drinks. We're not going to do those types of things. We won't provide transportation during phase 2 events, and so it would be parents dropping off and picking up from the location that we meet at. And so during phase 2, our goal is to resume activities in person and events with students. But from a trip standpoint, the overnight, the group transportation, and the housing side by side, we cannot facilitate that during phase 2. And so currently, that does not impact any of our summer trips. But if Texas were to stay in phase 2, or we as a congregation were to stay in phase 2 into the scheduling of our trips, that would, of course, impact it.
Yeah, and I would say, talking Liberty Hill campus youth ministry-wise, the only thing we would differ on that would be, our whole youth ministry can fit under 50 people, and so we could do youth ministry-wide events under the 50 limit, and so we wouldn't be, subject to just middle school or high school or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing Kendall and I have talked about in that area is we want to give, both campuses the freedom to operate in line with who they are. And so, just because on the Georgetown campus we're saying no 6th through 12th grade events during phase 2, we're not going to tell Liberty Hill don't get together. Right. It's just more natural. And so, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Hey, it came to me.
Oh, yeah.
I know what it was.
I knew it was.
Yes.
The epiphany.
I knew it was.
Yes.
As soon as we started phase 2, it popped in my mind. I was going to let people know that when you're watching this and people are getting this information for the very first time, and for us, we've been talking phases for a while, so there's already some categories in our brain for this to fit in.
Yeah.
And for people at home, this is all brand new. We will have a more detailed church-wide plan posted later,
That's
I
right.
believe later this week, but it's coming. So if you're trying to scramble and write all of this down, you don't need to. It's coming. We're just kind of giving you the preview
That's
of
right.
how it fits kids and youth ministry. So I don't want anybody panic when this disappears and they go, I can't find it. It's coming, and it's coming quickly, where they'll be able to see and read and know where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, are we ready for phase 3?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes, I think we're all
Please,
ready for that
please,
one.
phase
Yeah,
3,
let's
yes.
go. Yeah.
I would point out too before LJ, you will mention, if you look at the top left there, it says date TBD. Again, just reiterate, that's because we don't know, right? Like that could be soon, it could be not soon.
Yeah, and so
that's important.
The
to
most
put on.
aggressive pace that I think we've all heard is that each phase will last at least 14 days.
Yeah.
And that's the most aggressive pace that we believe the state would move ahead at. However, even that we don't know for sure.
Right.
And so we're not going to say anything that we we don't know. And so yeah, the date for phase 3 is in fact to be determined.
That's right.
So
All right, so when it comes to having kids groups back on campus, this is going to happen in phase 3 for us. We're going to start by moving in our 1st through 5th graders and going through that process. We're looking at physical space right now and square footage in rooms, looking at the size of tables, and to figure out what we can do based upon whatever guidelines are present once we hit phase 3. And so there's a question mark there, but we're trying to do what we can to get ready for that. And so as we get 1st through 5th grade ready to roll, we know what that's looking like. We'll start opening other things up, kindergarten, preschool, and then the nursery, and kind of the date that we have in mind that we want to be ready for, assuming all this goes well, is July 1st, to get childcare up and running again, get our preschool and nursery areas rolling. And so we'll see what happens, though. You know, we're going to be flexible. And then right now, kids camp or music camp is still on the docket, and we'll see what happens. I'm praying through that, asking for the Lord's wisdom there. Our kids camp leadership team has done a good job over the years being ready and providing a great camp experience. And so we're asking what the Lord would have us do there. I do want to say this, though, because I feel like I keep saying we're not doing this until, we're not doing this until, we're not going to do, it's been canceled. That our kids' teams are working on some things, just trying to be creative in ways that we can connect with kids along the way, whether that's a reverse pep rally or a reverse drive-through thing where we bring people to the church to do a little drive-through and shoot water guns at people and throw water balloons, stuff like that. So we're trying to work through some of those details and see what we can have. We're hoping to present something in the next 3 weeks in regards to what to expect for the summer.
Cool. Yeah, so when it comes to youth ministry through phase 3, primarily our groups will be back on campus. Now, on there it says on campus. I bet, just my gut tells me that there will be some online components still.
Yeah.
And that's just projecting out church stuff across the nation. I think online is going to remain in a lot of different areas, but for us within youth ministry, we'll make sure that there's not just an opportunity, but a real experience from a group standpoint online. If anybody needs to stay. And so it says on there on campus, I want you to understand that's primary at that point, but we're not going to get rid of online until we deem it completely not necessary for what we're doing programmatically. Activities and events, it says expanded with health protocols. We anticipate that group sizes are going to be allowed to expand. We don't know what that number is, and we don't know the specific protocols that will need to be followed. And so there's everything from spacing physically that may still be in place in some form or fashion. I anticipate just within organizational leadership, whether it's schools or churches, that if you've had a fever within 24 hours, stay home. I could see that within schools and churches expanding out. So that may be a new protocol that's out there. But we're going to be sensitive to following whatever protocols are laid out for us. And then trips, we will resume to the best of our abilities as best as we can. And so with every trip that we take, we have partners, whether it's an organization based on the location we're staying at or a ministry that we're partnering with. Those limitations may be in place throughout the summer. And so we will resume our trips to the best of our ability, and also not knowing exactly what protocols are going to be in place. We're going to be sensitive to that as well. And so we are going to do our best in that to resume those trips to the best of our ability. Now, one thing on the activity event, what we're talking about as a youth leadership team is planning all end of May and June events as phase 2 type events. And if we jump into phase 3 and we believe we can safely kind of alter that event a little bit to be more of a phase 3, more freedom event, then we're gonna do that. Just one caveat that I want to make clear within youth ministry and trips, and parents, this one's geared for you from a planning standpoint. As we progress through the phases from 1 to 2 to 3, if Texas steps back a phase, we are going to pull trips for the summer. And the reason we would make that decision is for your financial and calendar planning. If we bounce from phase 2 back to phase 1, even if there's still time hypothetically to get into phase 3 before one of our trips during this summer, we're going to go ahead and pull those trips because we don't want families to have to play a guessing game on whether or not it's going to actually happen. And so I hate I hate the idea of even putting that out there, but I want our families to be able to plan accordingly if that were to occur.
So are we done with the phases?
Well, we have worship through the phases. I want to talk about that.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. So the only thing on the slide is in the area of childcare, but we want to talk worship just in general, just because May 17th is coming, and just one more reminder on what that may look like.
Yeah, so childcare, just up front, in phase 1 and phase 2, families, if you're bringing kiddos, you're not going to be able to take them over to E1 and drop them off for childcare. If you're bringing them here for the worship service, they're going to be with you while they're here, and we're going to do what we can to provide a safe environment. Now, as we enter phase 3, our nursery team, our preschool team will be working towards getting kids back as soon as they can. And so, again, we're going to shoot for July 1st and see how things play out with the state. But we're not going to move forward until we feel comfortable and confident that what we have in classrooms is going to be great for your kiddos. So.
And I think there's been some questions along the way, so we'll say it very clearly. If a family has a kid that's nursery age and they want to come to the worship service, they can bring their kid with them, obviously. They just can't bring them over to E1 because there'll be nobody there. But they can sit with them and worship. That'd be awesome. We'd love that. And if your kid's loud, cries, whatever, it's okay. That's what happens in a family, and everybody's good with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tell us about the next game, and then we're going to wrap up because we're running out of time.
Yeah. So if you guys go back to that resource tab that's on the page for Wednesday, there's a quarantine bingo, which is a lot of fun. If you read through it, it'll crack you up. And so what you want to do is print that off and start going through it. And you're going to see one that says, would you rather? With that one, just do that with your family, okay? And so once you complete that, once you get that bingo, if you get that bingo, you're going to send it on with a picture, you think?
Yeah, they can send the pictures in, or however they want to do it.
Right on. You're going to send that to Brett at blevi@fbg.church. You need to make sure you do that by May 12th.
Yes, we're going to do the drawing on May 13th.
There we
and
go.
But everybody got a bingo, go in the drawing, and we'll send you a prize.
Can I say one thing before you wrap up?
Yeah, go for it.
So we have a great team here at FBG, and one of the things that I was incredibly encouraged by at the beginning of this week was realizing the efforts that our team is putting into making this a safe and approachable environment as we return to worship. And so you guys can't see the worship center right now. You don't know the work that has been done. You don't know the planning that has gone into reopening this campus, but there are people who have worked faithfully and diligently and have thought not just for days but for weeks about what re-entry to this campus would be like. And they all deserve to be recognized, though they won't be, nor do they want to be recognized. And so I'm very excited about May 17th because it really will show how much that the people, even behind the scenes here at this church, love you and are so excited for you to be back. And so that's one thing I'm just incredibly excited about and to even hear about. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what I said. I was excited that we got to do this for 6 weeks. We may do some more roundtables depending on what the summer looks like. We won't have roundtable next Wednesday. Kids ministry and youth ministry are going to start moving in some of those areas, and you'll hear more from these guys about what's happening in that. But if we're still in a lockdown, we might come back once a month or so. We'll advertise and maybe hit some topics. But this will be our last official Wednesday night roundtable in the cycle that we've been doing. And so we've just been glad to have people join us and hearing some of those family crafted discipleship plans. So work them. Get your plan made. Start working it through the summer. There's a quote that I heard this week. I did want to say this. It's a great quote. I shared it with some of these guys, and we all went, oh, that's heavy. It was this, that if you're not being intentional with your kids now, time was never the issue. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. If you're not being intentional with your kids now, time was never the issue. It was never the problem. And so we've got an opportunity to lean into this discipleship plan and make it happen and start living it out. So updates are going to be on the fbg.church webpage. We'll put them up on Facebook. They go to Twitter. Emails will go out. I do want to recognize two groups of people. One, I want to say thank you to 3 of you guys in starting to get ready for reintegrating back on campus with our families and kids. You guys are doing a lot of work in a world that you don't know any answers to. Like, it's like, we think we're going to do this. And I mean, I know that makes it difficult. Thank you guys for your work. I said people in the back. I was not talking to our guys in the back. I was meaning like the cheap seats in the back. But the guys in the back, Kurt Prater, Ben Prater, Tommy Williams, Reagan Williams, who's been up here before, Ryan Teeley, Nate Rhodes have been helping through these 6 weeks. I might have left somebody off. I did apologize. But, I mean, they're putting lights up, video cameras, we walk up in here, sit down like we're some sort of celebrity or something, and they just count down and we start talking. And they've done all of the work. So thank you to those guys for making this happen. It's the last one. What's next? Get those family craft discipleship plans going and start leading your kids closer to Jesus tomorrow than they were today. It's been fun. We'll see y'all soon.
Adios.
Thank you.